The scroll was unearthed during the Ming Dynasty, though it is far older. There is a spot here. The writing says that if you pierce it, apocalypse will be no more.
There are only but so many ways to kill a giant. For to kill a giant is to kill the moon. One of the most common ways, if not the most used way, is to attack the neck, for the TitanNeck is the known weak spot. You see, all giant stories encode the moon, and all Titan stories encode the supermoon. And what best way to attack the moon?
I'll show you the dark side.
In these Titan stories, we see that the neck is used to negotiate, to threaten, and to end certain characters. The neck is used in many moon stories, including buck moon stories, honeymoon stories, and even blood moon stories. And in these stories, what you'll notice is that the smaller character will almost always instinctively jump on the largest character back to try to get access to their thoracic cavity, to their neck, or to their trapeze area. Access to this area is not only used to injure or harm the Titan, it could also be used to tame or control or persuade the Titan. When we can recognize that all giants and titans are a retelling of the moon, whereas all stories are a retelling of stories. And what is the biggest thing that you see in the sky? The moon. So whether inanimate, a living being, a monument, or a natural structure, they're all telling the same stories. And in these stories, we can recognize and identify some similarities. I call this episode
Taste the Rainbow, motherfucker!
Many stories that contain moon-based characters show the moon hunting the rainbow. And this even carries over to Titan and giant stories. We see that Thanos is a character who's personifying the moon, and he's chasing the Infinity Stones, which are a play on the rainbow. And this is not just unique to Thanos, this is a common occurrence in a lot of moon-based characters. And the Thanos story is very similar to the Pac-Man story, where Pac-Man is a play on the moon. And we see that this is something that's also seen in something like Power Rangers, where we have the Titans that are created by clay being altered on the moon or from the moon. And the Power Rangers are a semblance of the rainbow that form a Titan to fight back against that. And similarly, there's stories also being told in the story of Voltron, where you have the giant Titan rainbow formed that forms a Titan. And we see that this Titan also has the lion encoded, which is a play on Leo the lion, where it's taken both ideas of Leo and the Titan, which are a common enemy, the sun versus the supermoon, or the sun's return that stops the supermoon. And you see this in something like the Sonic the Hedgehog's movie, where he collects the Chaos Emeralds, which are also a play on the Infinity Stones or the rainbow, and he becomes Leo the lion to take down the giant Titan Eggman. And this Eggman in some games is referred to as the Titanium or TitanNeck, and it's also first fought on the moon base because these characters are personifying the moon. Similarly, in the Game of Thrones series, we have the Leo the Lion Kingdom and the Titan versus each other, or the three Trinity Titan moons, which are the dragons. And those dragon eggs are an encode or a play also on the rainbow, as they're rainbow colored eggs. This combination of Leo versus the Titan is seen in a lot of different giant and Titan stories, and sometimes the giant will be Leo-like, but most of the time it's Leo versus the giant, which is an encode for the sun and the moon, because these stories are telling deeper stories about the sun and or the moon and the reset of the sky, whether it be a daily thing or an age thing. Getting back to the rainbow, we see something like this in the form of the Ninja Turtles, where the Ninja Turtles headbands are all different colors of the rainbow, and they are fighting the giant technodrome, or the giant moon's eye that's underground that comes onto the surface. So it's a story about the moon and the rainbow, also encoded in the aspect of Ninja Turtles. We even see this overall with the Justice League's colors versus Darkseid, and Darkseid being a play on the moon. We have the rainbow versus the moon. And this even applies to the Avengers against Thanos, who is the moon. Their outfits, the original Avengers, the OG Avengers, their outfits are the color of a rainbow, not by coincidence. And if you look at something like the Power Rangers lined up with the Sonic the Hedgehog characters, you can see that they're all telling the same story about nature, about the rainbow, about the moon and the sun. And you see this rainbow concept in a lot of teams that assemble, like the Transformers. They all form the color of the rainbow. And then also something like the Paw Patrol team forming the color of the rainbow. And this even applies to stories where there is an age change or a reset, like the Avatar TV show, which is about an avatar waking up in a new timeline. And this kind of concept of the assembly of heroes that all represent different aspects or different colors of the rainbow. It's kind of like bringing the rainbow together, or the different aspects of energy to fight against the moon, to get us out of this dark period so that the sun can rise again. And you see that this is encoded in a lot of different ideas. For example, in the Marvel Comics, there's a bunch of different teams, a bunch of different heroes spread throughout. But when something looming like Galactus or a giant Titan comes to threaten the planet, they all get past their differences to different colors and work together to fight against the Titan or giant. And this is even encoded in our different behaviors in our social programming in our world, where we have the school assembly, where a bunch of different colors of the school, different grades all come together with someone standing at the podium or on the stage to, deliver remarks or a message. And this is even seen in something like Congress, where the shape of the Congress room is like the moon, where they have 2 or 3 stars in the middle, and this Trinity concept of 3 little stars versus the supermoon is something that I've broken down before, but that's little here or there. What you should recognize is the assembly or the assemble is a play on all of the rainbow colors coming together to fight against the moon. And we see that a symbol is also a symbol in the sense of a rainbow in the biblical story, where the symbol represents the getting free from the moon period, the moon age, now to the new sun period. So it's a symbol that things won't occur the same way like last time, but that resets are a given. And it's important that we don't think of Titans or giants only as living beings, when you can imagine giants and Titans being structures, vehicles, machines. You should recognize that they're placeholders for the moon. So when you see a biblical story like the idea of Noah's Ark, you can also imagine that the story is about the moon. You can see connections between Leo being on the Ark, Leo being on the Titanic, Leo being on the helicarrier. These are all kind of telling the same story about the sun being covered by the supermoon or the Titan.
Space, reality, power, soul, mind, and time.
Before creation itself, there were 6 singularities. Then the universe exploded into existence, and the remnants of these systems were forged into concentrated ingots. Infinity Stone. Long ago, from the land where legends are born, it is said that one strange and special night, a night shrouded in mystery, 7 sacred stones received a magical burst of energy. The stones grew so powerful that nothing could contain them. When these 7 stones are reunited, a new age of miracles and wonders will occur.
Ages ago, a fearsome group of warriors known as the Echidnas forged the 7 Chaos Emeralds into the most unstoppable weapon ever created.
The Master Emerald.
The magical guardians of the earth.
They got some money.
Sought to restore the balance. They empowered him with the gifts of the ancient gods. And turned a boy
Soy Latan.
into a champion.
At the dawn of the universe, there was nothing. Then, boom! Big bangs and 6 elemental crystals hurtling across the virgin universe. These infinity stones.
Whoa, the compass! He's from